from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chicago Philippine Reports TV, still the #1 in all the Filipino shows in the Midwest. And I'm Joe Mauricio. Today we have all the top stories from Chicago and the Philippines. We also have our segment host, Veronica, interesting interviews with Melody Rabor-Dizon, our Health Matters host, and Joe Mauricio, myself. And I would like to introduce to you Janet Jordy, our new host from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, introducing her Global Inspirations interviews. We also have happening within our own Filipino community here in Chicago. All these are coming up and more from our sponsors. Please stay with us.
No more swab tests upon arrival at the airport. This is the new protocol following the lapse of the travel restrictions for passengers from over 30 countries with the new COVID-19 variant. Instead, the passenger of the international flight will take the COVID-19 test at the quarantine facility on the 6th day upon arrival. For those who arrived February 1st, they will undergo swab test on February 6th. The results will be issued the next day.
Iisa-isahing isa-swab doon sa mga hotel nila. Noon, dito lang namin nasa-swab lahat. Ngayon, kailangan ng mobile swabbing teams para ma-swab lahat ng mga dumating na pasahero. So dahil isang swab na lang, maaaring kaya pa nating dagdagan ng arrivals at saka mas maigsi na lang ang stay sa quarantine facilities ng mga pasaherong dumarating.
That is why it is crucial for inbound passengers, specifically the non-OFWs, to book a hotel accommodation for at least 7 days. The Bureau of Immigration warns those who will present fake bookings will be deported.
Ang foreign nationals kasi that were cleared for entry already, pero alaman po ng Department of Tourism na fake po yung kanilang mga pinakitang quarantine facility na booking sa immigration. Yung mga foreign nationals po ay babalik po sa Bureau of Immigration para po sa deportation proceeding.
For OFWs, the government will assign a quarantine facility for them. Once the negative test results are out, the passengers will be turned over to their respective local government units where they will be expected to go on home quarantine or quarantine at their local barangay to complete the required 14 days. Foreign passport holders and those with tourist visas are still not allowed to enter the country unless they can present a valid Philippine visa, a foreign airline crew ID, or prove they have Filipino spouses or children or parents that are with them during the flight. The IATF did not extend the earlier travel ban despite the presence of the new COVID-19 variant in the Philippines.
Only 48 samples positive for COVID-19 were sequenced by the Philippine Genome Center over the weekend, compared to its usual average of sequencing 750 samples a week. The Philippine Health Department says the demand for reagents have affected their output.
The big machine was put to a stop because we do not have enough reagents, and therefore UPNIH together with Philippine Genome Center tried to set up this smaller machine where it can only run 48 samples per process. The global shortage has affected this process that we have.
To ensure that the capacity of 750 samples is reached, the government will ramp up orders for reagents.
We will be having advanced procurement. No? So instead of just procuring 2 months worth of supply or 3 months worth of supply, we are now going to procure or to have this order for about 6 months so that we can be assured that for the next 6 months we will have these reagents.
The cost of reagents for genome sequencing was not considered in the government's budget for 2021, but the Budget Department has vowed to find sources for funds. Of the 48 samples that were subjected to genome sequencing, no UK variant was detected. The DOH explains the UK traveler who went to Bontoc is no longer considered an index case for the UK variant, citing his negative test result. He is still, however, linked to the infection of others who contracted the regular variant of COVID-19. The DOH says they have traced 410 contacts in Bontoc Mountain Province. 83 have tested positive for COVID-19. These include the 12 cases positive for the UK variant. 197 tested negative, while 42 have pending results. In La Trinidad, Benguet, 6 out of the 37 contacts were positive for COVID-19. 2 positive samples were also sent for sequencing. While no new cases of the UK variant of the coronavirus has been recorded in the Cordillera Administrative Region, the lockdown in several villages in Bontoc will be extended and contact tracing will continue.
Magpapadala po ulit tayo ng 10 ulit na specimen to Filipino Genome Center para ma-check kung mayroon pa pong lalabas na positive for the UK variant.
ViaTimes, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. ViaTimes for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. ViaTime has very interesting columnists. You name it, ViaTimes has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call ViaTimes at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of this show. Today, I have a very interesting guest who will be talking to us about the problem in reopening the school nowadays. I think most of us heard about it, and his name is Troy Laraviere, right? Did I pronounce it right?
You got it the second time.
Laraviere. Okay. Troy is the president of the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association. You're really very much involved in what's going on right now. And because lately, for several months now, there have been so much stuff going on about the topic of Chicago schools reopening. And you're here today to give us some enlightenment about what's going on and what's the problem. And of course, you're the right person because you work with the Association of Principals and Administrators of Schools. And so please, Troy, enlighten us. What is really happening? How come our schools cannot open?
Well, I think what people have to understand is that there is deep mistrust of our school officials, people who lead our district, the mayor's office, and that distrust has been earned over the years because of demonstrated examples of inequitable and unfair policies designed to undermine our schools, and more than anything, a demonstrated history of incompetent execution and rollout. And so when you have teachers and when you have principals who know the history intimately, who are experiencing the incompetence or the lack of an ability to execute a plan properly, and then these same people then go, hey, we have a plan to reopen schools and it's going to keep you safe. We made it behind the scenes and didn't have you involved in it, but trust us, you can understand why they're getting so much resistance. For our part as a principals association, we want schools to reopen. We just don't believe that the district's plan is going to get it right. We surveyed the principals, and before I even go any further, I want to make sure that your listeners or your viewers understand that Unlike teachers, principals are in schools now. Unlike teachers, principals have been in schools since the beginning of the pandemic. Principals were in schools supervising and ensuring that the distribution of meals to families went according to schedule. Principals put their lives on the lines before there was a mask mandate and handed out laptops and equipment to help families get connected to the internet on a one-to-one basis, family by family. In some of our bigger high schools, principals were responsible for getting upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 computers in the hands of families, and that had to be done on an in-person basis. And so our principals have been in schools. They were in schools in March. They were in schools after March. They're in schools now, and no matter what happens between CPS and the union, they're gonna stay in schools. So that's number one. Number two, principals are the ones who are charged with making the district's reopening plan work. When the district comes up with its plan, they hand it to principals in 400 different individual schools and say, make this work. We're the ones responsible for making it work. And so you have to understand that in order to have a better appreciation for what I'm about to tell you, because we surveyed our members and we asked them a couple of questions. We asked the question, or we made the statement, CPS has provided me with sufficient guidance and support on how to make reopening work successfully. Less than 25% of principals agreed with that statement. About 75% were either uncertain or disagreed with that simple statement that they've had enough guidance and support to reopen successfully. Remember, these are people who are charged with making the plan work. We asked another question. Do you have the staffing needed to reopen your school safely? Staffing is a huge problem with making this thing work, and less than 22% of principals agreed with that statement. More than almost 80% said they either did not have the staffing needed to reopen safely, or they were unsure about their staffing situation. And so when you have the people who are in schools now, who are gonna stay in, they don't have any reason to not want schools to reopen. It's not like they're at home. They're in schools now and they want their kids in school. They just don't believe, based on their experience with the district so far during this plan, that they have the staffing needed or the support from central office needed to do it safely. They don't believe the district is going to come through because, I mean, the district's in a pilot program right now with pre-K, and there's so much going wrong with that. Like the district's not coming through with the protocols and the support that they're supposed to be coming through with just pre-K kids. And now you want to open it up to the entire K through 8 population and you can't even get pre-K right. And so there's just this demonstrated history of the district's failure to live up to its promises, that, and also its failure to get school staff properly, that are creating a situation where both principals and teachers don't trust this district to follow through on its promises in a way that they can do what's necessary to keep themselves and their students safe in a reopening.
Okay, Troy, tell me, where is the mistrust coming from? Is it from the teachers themselves or the
So let me give you examples. Now there's historical mistrust, you know, like the district, for example, trying to shut down a highly rated African-American school in order to give that school to a population of people, families that were far less Black and far less poor, and trying to justify it by saying we want equity, which it was the opposite of equity. So we got historical stuff like that. The shutdown of 50 schools in predominantly Black communities, the undermining of those schools with a rating system designed to undermine the public's confidence in those schools. So you have that, but then we have more immediate issues at hand. For example, many principals still don't know what their staffing is going to look like because the district promised them that by January 4th, and it is now past February 4th, the district promised them that by January 4th, that they would have a list of staff who were either approved or not approved for the Americans with Disabilities Act accommodation. So staff who have conditions that might make them more vulnerable to COVID, or who are caring for people who are susceptible. These people were supposed to apply for accommodations, and the district was supposed to have that entire accommodations procedure, promised principals that by January 4th that would be done. You know, it is now, what is today, February 6th, and it's principals still, they're talking about open on Monday, and principals still don't know what their staffing situation looks like because the district hasn't come through on that promise. They've got 3 people downtown, 3 people processing several thousand ADA accommodation requests, and principals as a result have had to reschedule. They've had to rewrite schedules 10 different times because the district keeps failing to come through and follow through on its deadline for having these accommodation requests processed so that principals can staff their schools properly. So that's one example. I'll give you another one. We had a pre-K where in one school where staff came down with COVID. That staff member got sick on a Wednesday. Didn't know why she was sick, but she got sick and was out Thursday and Friday, and then finally got diagnosed and reported to the district on a Sunday that she had COVID. Now, what the district has promised it will do is that the class would be quarantined immediately. Instead of quarantined immediately, apparently the district does not staff its reporting center on Sundays. And so no one was there to get that report that this teacher had COVID. So that pre-K class came back to school on Monday. This pre-K class that was exposed to this teacher brought them back to school on Monday. And it wasn't until 5 o'clock on Monday that the parents of those students received notification that they had been exposed to COVID and now they were going to quarantine. And so you have the district promising that they would quarantine the classroom immediately, and yet they don't have the staffing downtown and the systems that they set in place to ensure that people's exposure to people who've had COVID is minimized. So they could not quarantine that class because they didn't have anybody in place to get the notification from that teacher so that they can then inform those parents in a timely manner. And instead, this class that had been exposed came back to school on Monday. And so when you have failures like that over and over again, a failure to get principals the staffing information that they need in the time that you told them, a failure to quarantine a class immediately, like you said you would do, and failures like that over and over and over again, when you're a principal in a school and you see that failure, you know, it doesn't do much for your confidence in the district to back up its plans. It creates a lot of mistrust. And then at the same time, you see the district telling the public that schools are staffed properly, and you know they haven't even given you your staffing information. And so you're watching the district lie to the public, lie in your face, telling the public that schools are staffed, that everything's fine. And almost every school, 80% of the schools don't even have their staffing information, and yet they're telling the public the exact opposite. And so this is the kind of thing that creates the distrust.
Which is actually confusing to the public, correct?
Well, I don't know if it's confusing to the public because oftentimes the district is the only source of information that the public hears. And so right. The news will cover the district, and unfortunately the teachers union, and it's one of the reasons that principals' voices need to be inserted into the conversation, because the teachers union, they're not charged with implementing the district plans. Principals are. And so they hear from the teachers, but the teachers don't know what we know. The teachers don't know that principals don't have their staffing information, but we know that as the Principals Association because we're in daily contact. But unfortunately, principals don't have a place at the bargaining table, and the media does not come to us. So we have to try and insert ourselves into the conversation the way we did with the press conference that brought us to your attention. That was our way of inserting ourselves into the public dialogue to try to get some information to the public about what was really going on behind the scenes.
It's a matter of not seeing eye to eye.
Say that again?
Not a matter of not seeing eye to eye.
You said it's a matter of vaccinations?
No, eye to eye.
Oh, it's a matter of seeing eye to eye. Got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like I wish it was that simple, but it just seems like the district has another agenda. I don't quite know what that agenda is, but when you create a reopening plan and you don't involve the principals who are charged with implementing the plan in the process of creating it, like you have to have another agenda. That, there's this thing called design thinking. When you're planning or producing a product, you get the people who are supposed to use the product involved in the design of the product so it'll be a better product. And it's the same with a process. If you're designing a process like reopening schools, the people who have to implement the process should be at the table helping you to design it so that you can work out the kinks and get it right. But that's not what happened with this district. They did it behind closed doors, behind the scenes, and they focused on getting the messaging right for the press instead of getting the planning right for the safety of our schools. Because if they wanted the planning to be done right, they would have brought teachers into the design process. They would have brought principals into the design process. That's just a basic planning 101 concept. That's what you do. And yet they did not do this because this seems to be more about public messaging than it is about actually getting schools reopened in the best, most safe way. And so what we've done is try to design a plan that will get it right. And so that's probably why you heard of us. We principals came together to develop an approach to reopening that would give us a better chance of getting it right. A phased in approach where the district could open 50 to 100 schools, focus the vaccinations on getting those teachers in those 50 to 100 schools vaccinated, and focus their resources on getting it right and learning what they can in this pilot, so that when they expand it, they've learned a lot more, they're more consistent, they have a better idea of what the staffing is going to look like, they have a better capacity to support the new schools that come into the reopening pilot. That's the plan that we put across. And it's the plan that we hope the school adopts, at least either in whole or in part.
Okay, the way I see it, the schools will not reopen until you guys resolve your issues. But the schools have to open soon, right?
Yeah, of course, that's why we created our plan. We want schools to reopen. We miss our kids. We're sick of being in buildings that aren't filled with children. That's why we got into this. The people who are running the district did not dedicate their lives to serving children. They dedicated their lives to politics. We dedicated our lives to serving children. And right now we're in buildings that don't have children in them. We want them back. We want them safe, but we have to have a district that's willing to compromise, that is willing to bring people to the table and create a plan that will actually work instead of this my way or the highway approach that they're taking with the teachers and with principals. So if folks want schools to open, they have to push the mayor to bring principals into the planning process, to be flexible, to actually open up the process to make it more transparent so that people can actually trust the process, to create to be open about what metrics they're using. They still haven't been open about what metrics they're using to decide whether schools should be open or closed. It's just like, trust us. And you just don't have the historic credibility or the current credibility for us to trust you. So you have to bring people in, create a transparent process, and not have this my way or the highway approach that they have. So if your listeners want schools open, I would say push the mayor to be more transparent, push the mayor to be open about criteria, push the mayor to have a more realistic approach where we phase schools in. If we would have done this back in August, damn near all our schools would be open by now. If we would have started in August, because there were schools because I just gave you a statistic earlier. I said only 20% of the principals felt that they were ready to reopen. Well, hell, that's more than 100 schools right there. You got the principals say we're ready. Let's open those schools up. Focus on getting those schools up and running, getting it right, learning what we can so that when we bring the next 100 schools on board, the district will have learned from those 100 schools. the people in those 100 schools are kind of like the resident experts now and can be resources to the next 100 schools. We could have had this done if we would have started that approach back in August. All or most of our schools would be open right now. But the district, unfortunately, has its my way or the highway approach. And because of that, we still don't have schools open.
And in the meantime, it's the school children that are really the victims of this education on politics, what you would call. And one last word from you, because our time is up. One last important words.
I would say exactly what I just said, that if folks want, I would restate what I just said. If folks want schools to open, you have to focus your attention on putting pressure on the mayor's office to bring principals into the process, to listen to the plan that we've developed, to be more open, to be more transparent about how you develop this process and bring people into it, and stop the my way or the highway approach. This is about, the resistance that they're getting from teachers and principals is for a reason. And those are the reasons. And so if you want to stop the resistance, you have to stop the entity that's creating the resistance with their behavior. And that is the mayor's office and her appointees at CPS.
Too much politics in our education. I think that's the problem right now. And I thank you, Troy, for gracing our show today. And I would like to talk to you again when things will be resolved. I'm going to invite you in this Zoom interview later on. You can let me know so we can give our viewers an update about our schools. Okay, thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to you. At least I really got some ideas on what is really going on in our school system here in Chicago. Too bad. Thank you.
I'm glad I could be a part of it. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. And magandang hapon sa iyo at magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Cprtv, your portion of the show. And I'm Joe Mauricio. This afternoon, we have some good news for you. People like me, at what age? Maybe 16, you're qualified for Social Security. And I'm happy to introduce to you my friend, Doug Nguyen, and he is the director of Social Security Administration. And Josephine is the specialist that helped Doug do his job, right? And welcome to our show. Okay, I have one question here. It's already a tax season. And what do we do? What do we have to do to prepare for the tax season? Doug, can you answer that?
Sure. Well, Joe, we know it's your favorite. I think you enjoy tax season more than you enjoy Christmas. I think it's your favorite season. Yes. So we want to talk about tax season, how you can best prepare for it. And rather than me talking through, the most important thing you can do is to prepare. Just like everything else in life, you got to prepare. You got to prepare to have your documents in place, right? And that means step one, getting a My Social Security account. And this is how you do it. I just shared my screen and this lady's going to show.
My Social Security is a free, personal, and secure account that puts you in control with access to your information anytime, anywhere. Signing up for a My Social Security account is quick, secure, and easy. Just go to socialsecurity.gov/myaccount and select Create an Account. Start by agreeing to the terms of service. Then enter some personal information to tell us who you are and to verify your identity. Next, create your account details like your username and password. Select how you'll receive your security code, either by email or text, and then enter the code once you receive it. And remember to choose email or text under Message Center Preferences to receive courtesy notifications about your account. Once you select Submit, you will have created your personal My Social Security account. It's as simple as that. If you need extra assistance in creating your account, please contact our hotline at 1-800-772-1213 and say, Help Desk. Create your free My Social Security account today. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Joe, for letting me play that 1 minute commercial, okay? Because that is your opening door. That is the opening door into getting your tax documents, including the 1099. So you and Veronica, you don't have to wait for that 1099 form to come in the mail. You can establish your My Social Security account, go in there, your own account, and pull up your own personal 1099 of what your Social Security income was for 2020. And that way you bring that to your CPA and you can file your taxes without waiting for, because frankly, those forms can get lost in the mail or they can be delayed, right? The other 4 things that you need to know is that in Illinois, if you lose your Social Security card, you can actually replace it. You can ask for a replacement card through the My Social Security portal, along with, verifying your earnings if you worked last year. And speaking of that, when you worked last year, you got to keep in mind there's some taxation laws, right? That I didn't make up, that Josephine did not make up. It's from it's pretty much from the IRS, right? The IRS says if you earn over a certain amount of income for individuals, if your adjusted gross income is between $25,000 to $34,000 last year, you may have to pay income up to half of your Social Security benefits. And if you earned more than $34,000, up to 85% of your benefits may be taxable. Those are rules for individuals. For combined spouses, if your income is between $32,000 to $44,000, you can pay income taxes up to 50% of your benefits, or more than $44,000, then you may have to pay up to 85% of your benefits that may be taxable. Just some of the things that you need to be aware of during the tax season and what you can get through our website. Thanks.
Okay, Josephine, I have one question for you. We always hear of supplemental security income. Can you explain what this is and how can we apply for this? Do we qualify?
Oh, that's a great question, Joe. I'm so glad you asked about SSI, which is the Supplemental Security Income Program. And SSI is a needs-based program for individuals with limited income and resources. So for an individual who may not have enough work earnings on their earnings record with Social Security, they still may qualify for this program, which is SSI. And individuals who are eligible for this program are individuals that are age 65 or older, blind or disabled individuals, as well as children. Children are also eligible for SSI. And, we like to let people know that if you are someone who is age 65 or older and you have limited income and resource and need assistance, please reach out to us at Social Security so that way you can see if you qualify for this great program.
Oh, my next question you answered, even the children are qualified. But if you are illegal aliens, can you qualify for this?
So if an individual is a non-citizen, an individual may also be eligible for SSI, Supplemental Security Income. There are specific criteria that an individual must meet in order to qualify as a non-citizen. For example, an individual must lawfully be admitted for permanent residence or granted conditional entry or paroled into the United States, admitted as a refugee or granted asylum. So there is specific criteria. However, it may be possible that if you are a non-citizen, you may still be eligible for SSI as long as you are an individual who is in need and has limited income and resources. So that's a great question, Joe. And to circle back on the children, if children are eligible for SSI, Joe, In order for a person to be considered a child under the SSI program, the individual must be under the age of 18 or found disabled prior to the age 22. Now, these questions that you asked me are great. And the next question that some of our viewers may be asking, well, you know, I may be eligible for SSI, but how do I apply for these benefits? Which is also a great question because, of course, we want to know, how do we apply for these benefits? Well, one, if you're an individual who is disabled and are interested in applying for SSI, what you can do is you can apply online at our website at socialsecurity.gov. We have an icon where you can click on disability benefits and you can apply for SSI right through our disability icon, and it takes you right to that application. So that is if you're an individual who is disabled. For individuals that are age 65 or older who want to apply for SSI, what they need to do is contact their local Social Security field office to make an appointment with us. Once they make an appointment with us, what will happen is we'll give them a designated date and time where we're going to call them, and we'll take that application from them right over the phone. And if a person is a child and is requesting to apply for SSI, and you're a parent or a family member that wants to apply for the child, then what you would also need to do is contact us at your local Social Security field office to make an appointment. And Mr. Doug Glenn, he's going to go ahead and show us a little bit later on in this show how to access the field office locator, because I know that's a hot topic right now. People want to know, how do I get in touch with Social Security during COVID-19? And we want to let you all know we are still here with you. We are available, and people are accepting and taking your calls. We're just working in a different way. We're working remotely.
Doug, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
We are from the Philippines, you're from Vietnam, and you're probably from Germany. But if you live in these countries, can you receive your Social Security and SSI also?
I'll let Josephine answer that question.
Oh,
no, if I was back in Vietnam, I can guarantee you I won't be able to get it. But Josephine can tell you about the Philippines.
Okay, Josephine, answer that question.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and tell you about if you could go ahead and get your benefits if you are residing outside of the country, specifically if you're residing in the Philippines. And yes, you can definitely, most definitely receive your Social Security benefit if you are residing in another country, as long as, you know, as long as you're a U.S. citizen residing in another country, you'll be able to be eligible to receive those benefits. And if you have questions in regards to your benefits, we have a federal benefits office in Manila that you can visit, and you can, you know, talk to a representative who works for Social Security. Yes, in many of countries outside of the U.S., there's a U.S. embassy, and within that embassy, there is a federal benefits office within it. And there's people that are technicians, Social Security technicians, representatives who can assist and provide information. And say you're in the Philippines right now, and you know you work in the U.S. and now you're ready to receive your Social Security benefits, and you didn't apply while you were in the U.S., but you're in the Philippines and you want to apply now. You can apply. You just have to visit the federal benefits office, and a representative there will go ahead and take your application, and you can receive your benefits in the Philippines.
Okay.
Just one caveat, Joe, real quick. So besides Vietnam, Cuba and North Korea are the other two countries that people cannot receive Social Security benefits in. Those three.
North Korea, which are the communist countries.
North Korea, Vietnam, and
Vietnam.
Cuba.
Vietnam, you cannot receive?
No.
Oh my goodness.
That's why you're special, being in the Philippines.
Okay. Nowadays, you know, there's a lot of scam and fraud going on. And what happened if I'm a victim? If I'm a victim of unemployment fraud, Doug, what can I do?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Joe. And so we just put out I'm sharing with you my screen right now. We just put out a special newsroom alert right here. It says unemployment insurance fraud and Social Security. As you know, the bad guys are always trying to find one way to steal somebody else's identity, right? And so they can steal your identity, Joe, and they can actually apply for unemployment benefits as if they were you. And then if you were an SSI recipient, like what Josephine was saying, if you're in that class of folks who get SSI, and all of a sudden, if you get thousands of dollars in unemployment, that will knock you off the SSI eligibility factor. And that's why this is such an important and such a tumultuous, dangerous time for a lot of folks who experience this kind of fraud, where somebody else used their identity to apply for unemployment. If you're in that particular category, you need to report it to your state fraud hotline immediately. And in Illinois, I'm going there. I'll show you the state fraud hotline. You can write it down. In Illinois, it is
there.
1-800-814-0513 for individuals. 1-800-814-0513. You need to report it if you're a victim of unemployment fraud, because this is going around quite a bit during this time. Yep.
Okay, look like our time is up, but nowadays, seniors are very forgetful. I'm very, very forgetful. Where can they get in touch with you guys? Doug and Josephine, how can we get in touch with you?
Okay, number one way is right here, this website at ssa.gov, okay? That's our preferred way. Number two, you can call us at 1-800-772-1213. The other way is just going to ssa.gov/locator, just what Josephine was telling you about. This is going to take you to your local office locator. You can go in here, and what's your zip code, Joe? Just give me your zip code.
60656.
60656. You put that in the zip code box, and boom, there you go. That's your local office, Joe.
Oh,
you can call them right now. You can call them Monday to Friday, okay? Monday to Friday. You can call them during business hours at 888-748-7667. And we'll take your calls, even though right now we're having very limited staff in the offices to handle, non-portable work and also handle dire need, critical types of interviews for folks who are in a world of hurt. But we're there to serve you. Okay, anytime you need it, just reach out. Okay.
Okay. Any last word, Doug or Josephine?
Yeah, I'll just say that Josephine not only does work for me, she actually does my work on a show like this today. And so thank you, Josephine, for hopping on, giving us all that helpful information. We're only a click away, or we're only a call away. Okay, Joe?
We are absolutely.
With this COVID,
thank you so much.
With this COVID pandemic going on, how do you see people? Do you allow people to see you personally?
We have appointment. It's like Josephine said earlier. You've got to call us to make an appointment, because we're not taking any, just visitor off the street. They've got to make an appointment with us, okay? Because we have, again, limited staff in each office to do these critical and dire need interviews. So we just call us if you need to come in to file a claim, but like I said, you can establish a My Social Security account and file for any of our benefit claims online, except for survivor benefits. Yep.
How solvent is the Social Security?
Pardon me?
How solvent is it?
The Social Security Board of Trustees are the folks that oversee the trust funds, and they tell us that, you've got enough FICA taxes coming in to the system to support the system through 2035, at which time the amount of taxes that we come in will not be sufficient to cover all of the outgoing benefits. So something will have to be done before then. But even come 2035 and nothing is done, okay, we'll still have enough FICA income taxes coming in from you and others to pay out, anywhere between 70-79% of the benefits. So
good. So I should be feeling good about this political ping pong that we hear, are frightening to seniors like me, that the Social Security is going to be discontinued and things like that. they're introducing fear to what you guys are doing, and I like to confirm that that's not true.
Absolutely. And so just like our commercial said a while ago, we're here to secure today and tomorrow. Okay, we're with you through life's journey, Joe. We'll be there with you when you need us.
You
Okay.
can go back to Oklahoma, huh? Okay, again, this is Joe Mauricio. Hey, this is a wonderful guest. I want to get you guys back, maybe in a couple of months and have an update on what's going on in the new administration.
Yeah, book us every quarter. Josephine and I can come on every quarter. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much again. Thank you, this is Joe, and thank you for sharing your Sunday with us. And mabuhay.
Mabuhay.
This is Janet Jordy at Global Inspiration, where we need to be seen, need to be heard, and be an inspiration to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome our guest this week, Frances Mabel Acosta Rubilio. Yeah, and that's one thing that I love also about America, because I go out of the house, I don't have any cash, I can drive my car, I have my cards, and that's it. In the Philippines, you cannot get out of the house without any cash with you in your pocket. So you own, correct me if I'm wrong, you own Neonate Care USA. Can you tell us more about that company?
Well, when I first came here in the States, it was hard for me to find a job because I was a tourist. And I have to send money to my kids. I wanted to practice dentistry, but I could not take the board exams because the American Dental Association required that we have to go back to school, and I could not afford it anymore. That's why I opted to work. I worked as a dental assistant. I worked as a caregiver until one of my patients in the Philippines told me that she is a baby nurse. I said, "What is a baby nurse?" And she said, taking care of newborn infants and helping the parents take care of their baby. So I said, "How much are you earning from that?" That time it was 2006. And she said, "I earn about 250 a day." I said, "I want that too," because I was only earning $80 at that time. So she taught me how to do it. And so I was hired. She helped me find a job as a baby nurse. And I started it. And then every time I go to a client and I finish a contract, they would ask me if I know somebody who can take care of their baby as a nanny. So I said, why not put up an agency?
Correct.
So that I will be able to help other women, other Filipinas here in the States. And especially here in New York, where baby nursing is really accepted, and women who have newborn infants thinks that they need baby nurses to help them.
It's good to create that kind of business because it's flourishing here in America. And I hope it will be in the Philippines in the near future. And I am not sure if it is already starting in the Philippines, because we are in America and I do not know. I do not have any inkling if it started, but that's a good business.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po!
Good afternoon. This is Brigitte, Carino, Cueter bringing you this week's local news from our community. In order to increase the limited supply of vaccine to eligible recipients, the state of Illinois is working with Walgreens and CVS pharmacies to temporarily redirect approximately 97,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses that have not yet been used for the Federal Pharmacy Partnership Program to providers across the state. After this transfer, approximately 110,000 doses will still remain available for the federal effort to vaccinate long-term care residents. The federal program is administering approximately 36,000 doses per week. IDPH will continue to closely monitor the program, and additional doses will be directed to the program if needed or if the rate of vaccination accelerates. Limited notary services will be available by appointment only at the U.S. Embassy in Manila and the U.S. Consular Agency in Cebu, effective Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. Appointments will remain limited as we continue to maintain social distancing among customers and staff during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. If you need a document notarized urgently, including the affidavit of legal capacity to contract marriage, you may want to consider one of the options listed on the website instead of notarization at the embassy or consular agency, as appointment availability will remain limited. Property owners have 2 extra months to pay their first installment Cook County property tax bills without a late fee through May 3rd, 2021, Treasurer Maria Papa said. While we hope and pray for better days ahead, the pandemic continues to test us, Papa said. This waiver of late fees offers some relief to the thousands of homeowners and business people who are struggling to pay their bills. The Cook County Board of Commissioners in November waived for 2 months the 1.5% per month late fee on all tax year 2020 property taxes. Taxpayers can pay the first installment due March 2nd, 2021, without a late fee through May 3rd, 2021. Late fees also will be waived for 2 months for the second installment due later this year. The COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc on many industries. But makeup is not one of them. According to cashback platform Ibotta, who is tracking spending habits across the country before and during the pandemic, many states have seen a significant increase in big box store makeup purchases during the pandemic. The data here compares June through December of 2019 spending to spending in June through December of 2020. The national average overall is down 5%, but some states saw as much as a 58% increase. In fact, Washington, D.C. showed a whopping 89% increase in spending. Vermont leads the pack with the largest decrease in spending 35% less, followed by Alaska being down 34%, and West Virginia down 26%. New Yorkers have spent 13% less, and Illinois is at number 7 at 22%. The number of COVID-19 vaccination locations across Illinois continues to increase. A total of 41 new locations were added since January 26, 2021, for a current total of 310 locations open to the public. The new sites include 15 local health department sites, 17 Kroger sites in central and southern Illinois, 6 Mariano sites in northern Illinois, and 3 Illinois National Guard-supported sites in Cook and St. Clair counties. At this time, vaccinations are by appointment only and are extremely limited due to the limited amount of vaccine. The Illinois Department of Public Health is also now reporting county-level vaccine inventory data on its website. The data include the number of doses allocated by county, along with the doses administered and the number of people who are fully vaccinated. Data will be updated once a week on Fridays based on information reported to IDPH by local health departments and providers. New data from the Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic Schools reveals that students have defied the national trend, reflecting pandemic-related stagnation and decline in academics. Not only did Archdiocese students meet academic expectations by staying on track with their learning, but an overwhelming number of them exceeded learning goals set out by the system's annual iReady assessment exam. According to a national study released last month by McKinsey & Co., schools with predominantly white students who took the exam lost an average of 1 to 3 months of learning over the spring of 2020 closures, and schools with predominantly Black and Latino students fell further behind, losing 3 to 5 months. That's all for today. Thank you for watching the news this week. This is Brigitte. See you next time.
Okay, ready guys? Introducing our new Energy Star certified washer and dryer, thanks to rebates from ComEd.
Yay! We love rebates! Ay, Daniel, we are famous.
Get used to it. When you use less water and electricity, people notice.
I can get used to that.
So can I.
Take it easy.
Get rebates from ComEd on select Energy Star certified appliances and find even more savings with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. ComEd, powering lives.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the portion of the show that everybody is waiting for, the birthday celebration of our good friends. Well, happy birthday to the following guys. Pastor Dick Merpuri, happy birthday po. Girly Pascual, former Cprtv anchor person. Our friend Janet Gisentao. Our friend Proline Cabrera, happy birthday Proline. And lastly, our BT columnist, JP Pereira. Happy birthday, JP. Okay, maligayang bati po sa inyong lahat and wishing you all the best. Mabuhay!